Having me, everyone. I'm going to just share some things with you. I am the community outreach director for the judicial branch in Maricopa County. And I'm just going to share some of our programming that we're doing in outreach that really highlights some of our specialty court programs, as well as some of the other opportunities we have for engaging with the community. I'm going to share my screen here and walk you through a few slides. Take some notes. I'm happy to answer any questions for you at the end. All right, Ellie, just let me know when that looks like it's ready on your end.
Yes, we can see that.
Perfect. All right, I do have my closed captioning on as well, if that's helpful to anyone. And again, like I said, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our community outreach programs for the judicial branch in Maricopa County. So our programs are called Branching Out, and many of you maybe already know this, so I'll go through the basic info a little quickly here. But Maricopa County Judicial Branch covers the Superior Court, adult probation, and also juvenile probation departments. So it's a very large branch. We're actually the fourth largest trial court in the country. We have over 3,000 employees with between Superior Court, juvenile probation, and adult probation. That juvenile probation also includes the detention facility, so you might be familiar with our Durango juvenile detention. We have just over 160 judicial officers. That would be judges and commissioners that oversee our branch activities. When we talk about the Superior Court, we're talking about these listed here. These are the, I guess, court types that you could say: criminal, civil, family, juvenile, and the probate and mental health courts. So if you have criminals, obviously criminal cases. So if someone was arrested and booked and charged with a crime, they're going through a criminal court. Civil court handles anything from like those, oh, sorry about that, handles anything from like those small, some of the larger lawsuits, civil cases, and name changes, things like that. Our family court is, most of you are probably familiar with divorce, child custody, child protection, orders of protection, rather, parenting time, modifications to orders. Juvenile would be juvenile guardianship, cases involving dependency with the Department of Child Safety, and also our juvenile court delinquencies. So any juvenile that might be going through the delinquency process, maybe facing juvenile charges or charges as adults. And then our probate and mental health courts, we kind of lump together because they're kind of under the same leadership there. We do have a mental health court that takes place at a mental health facility, hospital location, and within our probate court, things like maybe wills, contested wills may come in front of probate court, adult guardianship, conservatorship, those kinds of things. And then I know some people don't really understand or know about our Superior Court that we do have specialty courts also. So we have a homeless court that's a really fantastic program that works with folks who are facing housing instability. So that's not just someone who may be unhoused, but really instability, whether that's that they're moving couch to couch or don't really have stable housing of their own at this time. They could potentially qualify for homeless court. Then we have various treatment courts. We have our drug treatment court with adult court, and also we have a treatment court with our juvenile department as well with dependency cases. We have a veterans court, and we have JTOP, which is the Juvenile Transfer Offender Program. If any of you saw the news the last couple of days, Friday we were actually highlighted on several news channels for our JTOP program, the Juvenile Transfer Offender Program. Those are juveniles charged as adults, and they are added to adult probation to work through their court cases. They are eligible based on several different factors of criteria to participate in the specialty program to hopefully avoid serving adult prison time. So that's one of the programs I love the most at court. And then we have several specialty courts also within our juvenile department, and I'll get into those a little bit later. Then it's also important to know we have a law library resource center, and this is something I'm going to talk a lot about. This is a big part of what our outreach programming is about. Law Library Resource Center. You might hear it called the LLRC as well. That's really the self-help center and hub for anyone who needs to or wants to represent themselves in any court matter. They provide all the forms, process information, and get folks connected to those first and next steps with whatever their court issue might be. And then some of you might be also familiar with CASA services, something we don't talk a lot about at court. They really function on their own a little bit, but they are part of our juvenile court. Those are the court-appointed special advocates for children in juvenile dependency cases. If you've ever volunteered with them or know a volunteer, that's a great way to get involved to give back into the court. All right, so branching out, really the purpose for community outreach programming at the judicial branch started to really create access to justice. This is a fairly new initiative with the court. I'm the first community outreach director right now that went through a process. I was with juvenile court for about 7 years and got hired into this role, started the 1st of July this year. And so we're really, you're finding us on the first steps of judicial branch outreach. Our purpose here is to create better access to justice. We want to do that through education, engaging and empowering people to be able to take care of the things that they need to take care of. And we want to also be out in the community to build trust and confidence in the courts while we're doing that. In terms of our program goals, see if my slides will advance here. There we go. Really the ways we're trying to reach out into the community are these 3 goals. So increasing legal literacy, strengthening community engagement, and then improving that public access to the resources. Legal literacy really looks like assistance with self-represented litigants. So that's really providing education to the public at all levels, whether that's the staff that are working directly with the public at different organizations, or whether that's directly to the public themselves when they come to us at a different kind of community event. We want to make sure they're getting the right information. And then that strengthening community engagement is really helping the community understand the role of court in their community, and even, dare I say, celebrating the court as part of the community. With over 3,000 employees across the judicial branch, we are all living within the communities all across Maricopa County. I work downtown at the branch, but I live in South Tempe. We have many people who live way out west and work on the east side in the East Valley at a court house. So we're really spread all over. The communities that we live in are communities we care about, and we're part of the community too. So we're living in those communities that we serve, and we want to make sure that everyone is safe and protected. And then that improving that public access is really just meeting people where they are. We know that coming to court, there's a lot of barriers. There's a lot of reasons why people don't want to come to court or why they can't come to court. Or even why they don't want to come to court. So we understand that, and we want to be able to meet people where they are in the community. So we're trying to do that through addressing those program goals. I need to have a delay on my slides, so sorry about that. There it goes. All right. Ways that we're doing these things in the community. I am very interested, maybe, I don't know, interested in hearing more about some of you and what you're doing and what your connections are out in the community and what your connections are in your own personal lives. I think when we connect with each other, we can make bigger sand castles in the sandbox if we throw all of the toys in together and share, right? And that's really where I'm coming from as a community outreach director for the branch. Those community access points are really reaching out to different organizations, different groups around the county, and being able to provide services, education and resources, information directly in the community. And some ways what that kind of looks like is creating these access points where we can provide access to those services in various ways. So hitting that legal literacy program goal, sometimes that might look like a workshop or a clinic. So that would be something like we would come to an agency, come to you and deliver specific legal forms clinics. Our law library goes out right now. We have a couple partners right now that we're there once a month, and we bring our own printers, we bring our own laptops, and we set up shop And we print forms, we meet with people one-on-one. They get really close one-on-one service with someone from the law library or an expert on staff, maybe in the family department or the probate department, depending what their issue is or their topic of legal concern might be. And we really walk them through the first steps to taking to being active in what they want to do at court. So we share all the options with them. We print the right forms for them when they decide what those options are that they want to pursue. And then we make sure they know what their next steps are and get them on their way. Sometimes we also help folks like understand specific legal forms topic. So that could look like maybe a small group of clients at an agency where you work, or your agency wants to know something more specific, get a training or a workshop about name change. And so we'll host a name change clinic somewhere and just go through that form for a small group all at once, and everyone can follow along. So couple different ways we can do that. Then we also provide staff training. So this would look like us coming out to you. We prefer to do those in person and really providing navigation and support kind of training to provide that warm handoff between service agencies, schools, community groups, whatever our partner organization looks like, with the clients that you're all serving every day. That could be a training specifically with a department. So maybe you have folks that are really working with survivors of domestic violence, or you're working with children in the juvenile justice system, or with dependency matters, and you really want more training on what those needs are of the court customers that are dealing with those issues or that are going through court, and we can help provide some of that and get you a little bit more understanding of what some of that terminology is that we use all the time, and really understand the process to help you better walk your clients through that process. That can also be a training specifically about the Law Library Resource Center, or maybe a training about some of our specialty courts that I mentioned. I mentioned homeless court. That's a really remarkable program. And I would say also, as just kind of a reminder here, that court is a public service. This is your court. If you're in Maricopa County, this is your court. The court is open. And so you can come in and you can watch court at any time. You can schedule with me a very particular observation if you want to watch a Rule 11 court, or which is the proceedings, the pre-sentencing proceedings that happen in determination of mental health, or you want to watch a homeless court proceeding. We're happy to help get those set up for you and do those observations. And the court is always open. So if you want to come in and watch a criminal trial or something, that's always available. Most of our criminal trials, many of them also are live streamed as well, or streaming through our website. So there are some of those that you could catch that way as well if you're interested. But we can also come to you and talk more about those things. I often have social workers coming in where I'll tour them specifically, just a small group, maybe 2 at a time even. And if they're working with folks who are often, I see social workers working with domestic violence survivors, for instance, they want to walk through and understand what our law library looks like. They want to see where the order of protection office is, where their clients might go and fill those orders out, what the family courtroom rooms look like. So they really know and understand and can feel what that is like, to better than educate their own clients when their clients are coming in. So we can explain all that process. We can show you how to navigate our website to connect to a live person about any of those issues or for any of those reasons. There's a lot of ways to connect back to us. We just want to get the education and the information out there, both to the clients, but also to those serving clients. And then those community events, those are always fun for us. We love to go out and share information, share resources at tabling events. So if you ever have a large activity or something going on where you want to bring in resources, any kind of resource fair, please invite me. I would love to be able to bring some resources and some great education information for the folks you serve. I'm going to go through a little bit some of the very specific programs we have with outreach that we are doing with a partner. So I kind of give you a broad overview. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. I kind of discussed this already, but our Connect with the Court program is really our Law Library Resource Center and maybe some department experts. Like I mentioned, probate. We often get a lot of questions around probate, around wills, adult guardianship, conservatorship. So our staff goes out, printers, computers, and we provide that direct one-on-one support. Most of the forms that we go through are those that are on the screen there. So we mostly get questions at those clinics around divorce proceedings. We print divorce packets for folks, a lot of name change questions, child custody, child support questions. We also go through court processes with folks so they understand what the process is and make sure they know how to contact this particular department where their case might be heard. We can also provide case lookup at those clinics. So if there are folks who currently have an open case in the Superior Court, we can look up those cases and let them know where in the process they are. Sometimes people get very lost in the court process and they don't know what to do next or if they're supposed to do something or what's going on. So we can read through those minute entries while we're out and kind of let them know, hey, here's what's next. This is what was said at your last court hearing. This is what you should be planning for coming up. So those are great. Those are usually about 2 to 3 hours in length too, but they're kind of tailored to the needs of the organization where we're at. And then we have a Beyond the Bench. That's what this is called. I am here to talk to you and present some information. But we could do Beyond the Bench with anyone from the court, right? If you just want some basic information, you don't need a training or a workshop, but you'd like to hear from people who work at the bench and you want to know more about like what they do and how they interact with our community or maybe the community that you're working with all the time. So that could be judicial officers, judges and commissioners. It could be someone from probation, adult or juvenile probation. They could kind of talk to you about what's going on, what kind of innovations or new things they're trying to accomplish in probation, so you kind of understand where they're coming from a little bit. It's fun to take our jury administration out. Our jury folks love to talk about the new processes they're developing. They develop jury process for multiple courts across the state, not just our own Maricopa County Superior Court, but they love talking about that. And then probate court, juvenile court. Sometimes we have folks want human resources to come out and talk about jobs that are available. With over 3,000 employees, we have an IT department, we have a human resource department, we've got social workers that work for the court. There's just a lot going on. We've got clinicians, we've got, kind of a little bit of everything. And so some people just want to kind of know a little bit more about that. The other thing we could do is, some people want to know a little bit more about specific courts. So that I mentioned Rule 11 earlier. That's something that maybe is more information. You wouldn't necessarily get a lot of training on that, but to hear more about those proceedings that are designed to ensure that one's mental illness is not substantially interfering with their ability to competently stand trial. That happens in our Rule 11 court. I mentioned that court could be open for observation as one of our, kind of specialty courts. But there's also our commissioners like to share about what those things are, and our judges too about like some of those specialty courts and why we have them and what their purpose is for the court. All right, our courthouse experience program. You can see a picture here of a little group of young people. This is actually a picture of the Guadalupe Teen Court, one of our favorite groups of kids. They bring a group of kids every year. This is an opportunity that's mostly, we see student groups, but it's open to student and community groups. 8th grade and 11th grade in Arizona are studying civics, and so those are typically the grades we see coming in. They get to watch part of a morning calendar with a commissioner or a judge. They kind of see lots of different things going on and what a judge has to deal with in the morning, all sorts of different kinds of things happening at once. And then depending on what's going on at court, they might also get to watch part of a morning criminal trial. So they'll watch evidence presented, or they might see some cross-examination of witnesses. It kind of just depends what's on the docket and what's appropriate for them to see. And then we also try to do a Q&A with attorneys and judges and court staff while they're here. So it's a pretty big morning for them, about 3 or 4 hours in morning calendar. But this is also something that if you have a group of folks that want to learn more, I mentioned Rule 11 court or mental health court, that some of those are open. Sometimes the judges will close some of those things due to the nature of what's happening, but typically most courts are open. And then the community events, those are just those tabling events. This is kind of what it looks like when we go out, but we do provide lots of resources and information. We let folks know what they need to do to take care of some things. At community events, we get asked a lot about sealing records or expunging marijuana records. And we can definitely talk them through that and give them the right resource and figure out the first steps of what they need to start working on. We also have resources that we take with us for free or reduced cost legal services. So if they need to get some legal advice from an attorney, at no point will any of us on court staff offer legal advice. We can't do that. We don't do that. But we can connect folks to free or low cost legal services where they can get that legal advice they might need, and then come back to us for a connect with the court. And your attorney will tell you what forms you need, and we'll make sure you get them printed. So we can do that for them too. And then, of course, we always have swag, because who doesn't need a good little teeny tiny pack of tissue or some a really cool gavel pencil. If you had one, you would love it too. I'm sure of it. And then I mentioned those staff trainings and workshops. These are really more step-by-step explanations, guiding you through the process of what's going on in a particular area that you really want to drill down and get more focused, get more information, and really be able to share that back with someone in the community who needs that resource or that information. So this is really in-depth and gives you a chance to ask lots of questions around a very particular topic. We also usually encourage folks to bring laptops to these when we go in person if they have the ability to do that, because we want to walk you through the website. We want to walk you through the forms and do those things in real time. So the things you see there on the screen are the things that we are most often doing with when we go out to do some staff training workshops. Those are kind of usually the biggest things that folks are asking for, I would say. And then all that kind of really leads to partnership. And, when I first started in this position, the idea of creating a partnership between the court and anyone else, it's been challenging to use the word partnership and also work at the judicial branch. But what that really means to me and to those of us at the branches, is that we're really having that invested connection with the community, but especially with other agencies, entities, organizations that are serving the community. We know that people have a lot of basic needs. People have to get their basic needs met in order to be able to move on into doing something else or even something better a lot of times for themselves, right? You can't get ahead unless you get all that basic stuff met. And we also know that getting that court stuff figured out and taken care of is some of that basic stuff that people need to get met. And sometimes, a lot of times, basic needs, food, shelter, clothing, education is always first, and the legal need is sometimes kind of left off to the side also. But all of those are really, for some people, all basic needs, right? And you can't move forward. You can't get one thing without taking care of this legal thing that may be hanging over you. We want to make that as easy as possible and as safe and welcoming as possible as we can for everyone in the community. So that's really creating invested connections with partners that are serving folks. We want that warm handoff. We want to come to you. We want to go to people where they are. We want to hear what you're saying as our partner and telling us what your clients feel and what they experience and what they need, so that we can make adjustments and help and provide the information and resources out in the community where they feel safe and welcome and comfortable already, but also so we can close some of those gaps here at courthouses to help people feel a little safer, a little more welcome, a little bit more comfortable, not so afraid about what's going on at court and what to expect at court. So we're really dedicated to all of that and making sure that us being in the community is providing a value and a service for you and your clients, not just that we're not there to do anything for ourselves. So this is not just a program that happens at your location, but we really want to be that partner in service. And then where can you find us right now? So I mentioned some of those partnerships. I put a few of them up here on the screen for you. The these are some of the partners that we're working with right now and that we have got some upcoming things with here already in the next month. Native Health is at their central location. We are there every second Wednesday for 2 hours, and that's one of the Connect with the Court clinics. So that's where we are really helping folks with forms. Different agencies, I really try to figure it out for what's going to work best for each agency and each community that we're trying to help support. It's different. It looks different at each agency, right? So at Native Health, it works for them to use our information and our logo and kind of create their own flyer that speaks better to the community that's being served there, and in the way that they communicate to their community that they are already serving. And it worked better for them to be able to schedule those appointments on their own. And so that's what they do. And we support that and work with that. At the Surprise Resource Center, we're there every fourth Tuesday from 10 to 12. Same thing, connect with the court, printing forms, talking through court processes, things like that. And at that location, we set up appointments, and we have trained their front desk staff and their frontline staff in what we'll be doing there. And we also train them in our appointment scheduler. And so they're able to really do that handoff and really assist directly at their location with getting people signed up. So once someone says, hey, I want to go to that, they see the flyer on the wall, I want to go to that, how do I get involved? They can either scan the QR code, they can go to the website, they can sign up directly through our system, or they can just ask the staff who've been trained at that location, and they'll get them signed up for us. And that's been working really well for them. And then you'll see Chicanos por la Causa down there. We'll be there May 20th. That's an organization that we're there kind of every other month right now. And they appointment-based doesn't work so well for them. So we do a walk-up clinic there, and are still trying to figure out what's going to be the best and what time of day and what day of the week and things like that. So there are some things that we host that may not fall into the 9 to 5 category. Most of them do, because it's during the business hours of our partner, and they tell us when a high traffic time might be for them, when they know a lot of people would be looking for services with the court as well. So we try to tailor that to everyone's needs. And then Fresh Start Women's Foundation, they host a law day twice a year. So we're at that, again, connected with court, printing forms. We also have a table of information there for folks who may not need forms. That's a great event. If you don't know about it, check that out. We're also at the UMOM Family Shelter. We'll be there this week for their resource fair, but we have also done Connect with the Court events there as well. Again, that's kind of as they need, or as they are getting lots of questions, they invite us to come in, and then we can answer some of those questions. We'll be at the State Bar of Arizona on Law Day, May 2nd. And I would tell you all, share that widely. If yourself, your friends, your family members, clients that you work with, if you need to speak to an attorney about anything law related, anything from immigration law to a civil lawsuit to a name change, whatever it is, they have free attorneys for 30 minutes a slot. You have to register. They have in-person and virtual appointments available. You have to go to the State Bar website for that. We will be in person there, again, doing forms work, helping with process questions. So we're also providing checklists for all the attorneys that will be there on site. So you could meet with an attorney, someone you know or love that you need that legal advice. You need 30 minutes to sit down with an attorney, completely free. They're going to have a checklist from us that they can check the boxes for whatever forms that folks might need. And then you'll be able to walk across the hall to us, and we'll walk you through the next steps in the form. So that's a really great event if you know anyone that needs that service. And then obviously the community resource fairs that I mentioned before. So I know I went through all that very quickly. There's so much more that I probably could talk about. I'm going to throw my contact information up here on the screen, though. I just go by Beck. And my email is there, a.beck. And that's my cell phone as well. So if you want to call or text by any means, reach out to me. I would be super happy to answer any questions. And if you want to, have a tour of something, or there's something more you want to see, or something more you want information about, I'm happy to get you to the right source of information as well. So I want to make sure I leave enough time for questions at the end here, and see if there's anything else I can help answer.
Okay, thank you, Beck. If anyone has questions, feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself. We do have 30 more minutes, but if we don't have any questions, we can end a little bit early. It looks like Rachel, go ahead.
Hi there, and hi, Beck. Nice to meet you. Thank you for your presentation. Quick question, because we're here with National Alliance on Mental Illness. Thank you for hosting this. There are a couple different mental health courts. There's the one that's happening over at the Superior Courthouse.
Yeah.
And then there's the other one that's happening in the Valleywise hospitals that involves court-ordered medication, court-ordered treatment for individuals who, meet criteria for court-ordered treatment. Can you describe the difference between those two mental health courts, and are they under the same umbrella? Maybe expand on that.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not the expert in that particular court, right? So, but yes, they both do actually fall under Superior Court. It's our judicial officers that are housed at the Valleywise location, and so mental health court on location. That would be something that I would definitely want to get you in touch with our mental health. I should have invited our mental health deputy along to this. He wasn't available. But we will be doing a presentation covering that, the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day conference. And our probate staff will be on site that day to kind of take care of some of those questions around how those work slightly differently. And I don't know the ins and outs of that, so I wouldn't want to speak. But I would be definitely happy to connect you to those folks if that would be something that you'd like, if you need that information.
Thank you. Justin, go ahead.
Stacy Muhammad. I'm one of the court liaisons for Mercy Care, so I could kind of answer your question about that. The court order treatment is a civil court, and so those are civil court matters for people who have been petitioned for a court order treatment. So it is court because the court can order a person to be under a court order treatment, but it's not a court in the terms of criminal court. So it's basically it just covers the mental health piece. So if that helps, because we do use the word mental health court kind of across the board, but there are different variations to that. I'm the liaison in the SMI probation mental health court. So those are individuals who have a SMI determination. They're in a specialty court. They're on probation for a criminal matter, but rather than for them to go back to a regular standard probation court, we have the specialty court that kind of operate under one whole umbrella with the clinical teams, the specialty SMI probation officers, as well as the attorneys who specialize in SMI caseloads too. So it's different in that sense. One is criminal and one is civil.
That's a great distinction, Stacy, and I'm glad thank you for stepping up and saying that. And I mentioned like the Rule 11 court proceedings that happen here, and not that it is a separate court, but it's not, right? They're all kind of related, and that Rule 11 is really that criminal side of what mental health court is. So I appreciate you jumping in to make that distinction. The Rule 11 is really determining like if that person's mental health, and largely an SMI population, can, if that's going to interfere with the rest of their proceedings. And so that's really where they get ruled on that first before then being sent to determining which proceedings they need, if it's that mental health court specifically in the criminal sense, or or if they can just go into like what a typical criminal proceeding would be. But thanks for clarifying that with the civil and criminal, I guess.
Phoebe, go ahead.
Hi, and thank you. I would like to invite you to the Humanist Society of Greater Phoenix, and we've got a lot of stuff going on, and we also are doing a lot of outreach. So I will be looking for an email from either me or Michelle.
Great.
Yeah, it would be great. We have a community center near Westwood High School, so it's a great location, I think.
Yeah, that's great.
Also, so I have the experience of being caught up in the criminal court system after a welfare call. Now, this was quite some years ago, and I did have an advocate through NAMI. Well, it wasn't anyway, that doesn't matter now. That doesn't matter now. So I would like to get involved with the special courts. However, what would be my first step to slowly start being able to do outreach to homeless and mentally ill?
So within the court system, we don't really have volunteer opportunities with to clients, right? So we're a court, so we are addressing whatever the dispute is and trying to resolve those disputes. In terms of like volunteering, kind of the space that we do have volunteer options for folks outside is that CASA program within the juvenile court. And that's really serving as kind of a mentor and a court-appointed special advocate for youth in the foster care system. It's writing reports to the court, meeting with the youth, and like trying to kind of help them through that process, and also making some recommendations or observations for the court as well. So that's I would say like the biggest space for that. We really rely in the court on our partners. So right now our homeless court is held at the Keys for Change campus. We're working on another location for that court, but that's really relying on those partners and the partner agencies to make those personal connections so we can come in and provide the services for that legal option. Our homeless court is a great program for those with that housing instability. It's an opportunity to potentially waive all fines and fees for various courts. So we see folks getting a lot of tickets in homeless court for like loitering or blocking a sidewalk or trespassing, right? Like all these things. And then they add up, all these fines and fees are adding up, and they might get something in Phoenix, and they might get something in Mesa, and they might also have something in Surprise. And so we try to pull together all of that information. Our coordinator, Freddie, is amazing. He reaches out to every municipality or anywhere that they might have cases, and we try to get those combined into our homeless court, where they can then engage in service. Either sometimes that's community service, and sometimes that's just making sure they're connected to their behavioral health caseworker, and they're working on their housing stability, and they're taking care of anything that they need to do in terms of treatment, but they're doing all the work that they're supposed to do to work towards that betterness, right? And then they get the, I think it's $15 an hour, or whatever, right around minimum wage, I believe right now. The cost of it just went up for every hour they're doing to make that improvement. That's how much they're getting off of those fines and fees. We've seen folks get up to $10,000 wiped away from all the participation that they've seen. So there's not a really good way through the court to get involved in that piece, but with those other service providers, that'd be the way I would say to maybe do that. And someone here might know better too.
Thank you. And I apologize, I don't have your name, but iPhone, your hand is raised, so go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's probably me. My name is Janet.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say I appreciated your presentation, Beck. It was very informative. I had no idea that the courts provide as much support, outreach as they do. I'm curious to know, along that line, I've heard presentations from organizations that provide support to immigration type folks. They're not the court, but they're trying to help these people go to court.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you have gotten any requests to connect with those groups to help them, so that you can help them better understand how to help those immigration situations.
Yeah, that's a really good question. The where that weird line happens is that immigration is a federal issue, and so they end up dealing with federal court, and so that's kind of a different set of attorneys, a different set of rules, a whole different group of people. That's not us. So we're just Superior Court, and we don't handle the immigration piece of that. That's not to say that there may be some overlap with folks, but largely what we see, and in my conversations with some of those organizations, is that they're really dealing with that immigration court that is a separate court from what we're doing here.
Do you know if those courts are interacting in any way with groups like that, or?
I don't know how those function. I'm not involved in any kind of federal court stuff at all, so I just don't know that. But that's a really good question. I know there's not enough immigration attorneys available. I know the need is pretty great. I do know that there will be immigration attorneys at that state bar law day on May 2nd. If there are folks that have questions and need an immigration attorney, there will be some folks to answer those questions at that.
I just know it seems people want to help on both sides.
Yeah.
And if we could put that together, it would make life better for everybody. But thank you.
That's how I feel too. Yep.
Any more questions for Beck?
I have one more. Beck, so where are you located, and how do people get referred to you other than the resources you provided?
Yeah, great question. Me personally, I'm downtown. I'm at the old courthouse. But Superior Court has 4 locations. So we've got our downtown location, which most people are familiar with in downtown Phoenix. We have our southeast facility and our southeast juvenile facility, which is in Mesa off Javelina and Mesa Drive. A lot of folks are pretty familiar with that. We also have a northeast courthouse, a northwest courthouse. And so we've got 4 locations. At any of those locations, you could walk in and you'll find our law library staff there. And so that's one way that folks could get resources right away. So you can find us at Native Health, you can find us at Surprise Resource Center. But if folks need forms or they need help with that first step or those process questions, they can go to any Superior Court and ask for the law library staff. Those locations also have those special order protection spaces. So if someone's looking for an order of protection, we also have domestic violence advocates on site at locations. So if someone needed to speak with them while they're there to get an order of protection, we cooperate and partner with them and have them on site with our law library staff as well. But depends a little bit more on, if there's some other particular need, you can always reach out to me and I'll connect you with the right person, or I'm happy to get something set up for you or for an organization. Were you thinking of any kind of referral in particular?
Well, as you are aware, everyone's aware about the housing issues. The population I work with are the SMI population, so they're already connected to services, but housing, we really been trying to think outside the box. Yeah. And any other resources out there that we can connect and tap into would be great. So that would be the biggest thing. And then we do have a lot of people who, the immigration part, of course, that's a big one too. And I know that's federal, like you said, but yeah. Housing, I would say, is the biggest resource that's lacking out there. And then I wanted to know, do you all track these cases or any way of tracking them, or how do you go about following up on the individuals?
Track which kind of cases? Like
when people come to you with whatever their need is, and they do you keep track of whether or not they were able to get connected, or things of that nature?
Yeah. So when we're doing outreach stuff, we don't collect any information from anyone, right? Okay. So not No, not really, I guess is the short answer to that. We don't collect information. We don't ask them for any information. We just want to make sure they have the information if they want to self-represent or they want access to free or low-cost attorneys. We want to give them the information and the resources and education to do that. We don't check to see if they followed up to do that. That's an individual journey. That's up to them if they decide they want to or not. Just like we don't tell them like, hey, this would probably be the best option for you. We say, here are all the options. It's up to you to decide that. We can't tell you. We're not going to give you any legal advice about those things. So it kind of works the same way. We're not going to follow up and see what they ended up doing. We just want to make sure that we can help them get what they do want. The other piece with our, you mentioned housing, and that's a lot of, we don't deal, there's just so much with evictions and landlord tenant stuff, and we get asked questions about that a lot. Most of the time, I send those folks to our partners at like justice courts. So justice courts are largely dealing with that. That's the court that deals with landlord tenant issues. And so we try to get them resources for that. We do have our mental health integration team here at Superior Court is has developed a new resource, and many of you are probably familiar with that. But we have resource navigators here at the court that are able to, if anyone is at court for any reason, it doesn't matter what it is, if they just walk into a law library and say, I need help and support, and they don't even know what they're there to need. If there's a community-based need, our resource navigators are on site, and they can get an appointment with them either in person, virtually, by the phone, and those resource navigators can then connect them back to community resources that can address their issues. So it might be a list of available housing or an application, the HUD application, or something like that if they came in with housing needs. And we see some folks that do that and meet with our resource navigators for that. They've worked to create the acronym is CRC, and I think it's Community Resource Corner, I think is what it's called. So if any of you have resources that you are like, these need to be added into that, they want to make sure that that's on a SharePoint. So any staff member across the branch could have access to that SharePoint. So anywhere that someone comes into the court, that's one of those gaps we're trying to close. Again, people have all the needs always happening. And so if they say, yeah, I want to take care of this legal issue, but in the meantime, like I can't feed my kids tonight. Here are 4 places we know you can go to right now to get those food boxes, or where we can help get you set up for a job interview, or whatever that might be, that we have those resources on hand too. And folks that will, specifically our social workers, that will talk to them about those things too.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Great questions. Crystal, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. Speaking of finding places for people to stay so that they can continue with their probation court and stuff, are they still doing the H2O program? Is that available? Because I thought that was supposed to help with people coming out of jail or prison or in that situation.
I don't know the H2O program, Crystal. Was that through adult probation?
No, it was supposed to be, it was awarded, it was supposed to get like kind of high intensity patients that was supposed to be given 6 months of housing, temporary housing until they could find other housing. So it was supposed to meet with, I believe, 2 different populations. One was jail and one was people with like other medical conditions as well.
Was it specifically part of reentry?
I don't think it was just reentry. I think it
was access funds.
Right.
It was access funding.
Yeah. And that's probably our Mercy Care folks on the line would probably speak more to that as well. I don't recall that adult probation was very involved in that, if at all. I will say, like, if someone's involved with adult probation, we do see a lot of folks that out in the community that need to get connected to a probation officer and don't know how, or lost their way along that. And they can come in to any court facility, or if they see us out in the community anywhere, and we can make sure they can get back in connection with their adult probation officer. and then get connected through services, clinical services, social services, and on-site counseling here through the courts as well, with some of our counselors within adult probation. But the housing thing is so tricky, and we just don't do anything with housing on our end. The adult probation department may coordinate and assist and support some of their probationers as they're going, applying for some of that housing and stuff, but we don't have that kind of housing or any kind of that kind of resource.
Perfect. Thank you. Any more questions?
Hi there. I was just going to comment. Excuse me. This is Justin Knight. I'm with Arizona Complete Health. We're also a Medicaid contracted health plan. Just to answer the question on H2O, Access still does have H2O as a housing program. They tend to facilitate it, so they identify the individuals that are eligible for it, then they outreach to the health plans and the providers for them. It doesn't tend to, from my experience, totally focus on those that are reentering from either county jails or prisons. The county jail detainment actually kind of disrupts that process a little bit because there's quite a few things they have to do out in the community in order to engage in housing. But it does exist, and they are outreaching individuals that are those high needs, high cost members.
And I might add to what Justin said, there's CBI is one of the contract providers that run the H2O program. It's a couple of other ones. I can't think who they are offhand, but they're one of the providers that manage the H2O referrals and whatnot.
That's great information for me too. I appreciate knowing that. Thank you both, Stacy and Justin, for jumping in on that. Stacy, I know you asked about referrals earlier, and with our homeless court, that does require a referral into court. Some of you may be already providers for us. I know that our homeless court functions, it's kind of a weird thing, right? So it's a superior court program, but it functions under a board of directors. So it's kind of a weird entity within Superior Court. And they're reworking some policy and procedure stuff around our homeless court and trying to open up eligibility for that, and also open up eligibility and access for providers. Those of you, our hosts here on NAMI, as soon as I can get more information about that, I'm happy to share that out so this group can get that too, because I know we want to try to increase providers that can and want to be those referral sources. It's really us just getting that initial email from a provider saying, hey, I have this person with housing instability. They need to do this, and we'll be the provider I'll be the case manager that'll be responsible for making sure that I can sign off on the stuff that they're doing to be eligible. So once I get that, I'm definitely happy to share that along with any of you who want it, because I know that's trying to get opened up if you're not already a provider, but you'd like to be for that.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, we have about 5 more minutes, so time for 1 or 2 more questions.
And I know I am not the expert at all of the things that you all are probably the most interested in. I fully admit and know that. But I'm hoping that you can find me, me, get a hold of me. Do not hesitate. I will respond very quickly. I want you to get the information you do want and you do need from us. And I want to get you in touch with the right person that's going to get you exactly what you need. So whether that's just a phone call or making that connection, I'll be happy to do that. If you want us to come out and really provide some of that training and information, walk you through some things so you understand it better to then share with clients where you are, by all means, we want to do that too. We want collaborators in the community that want to keep learning and want to keep growing, because that's what we want to do too. We want to help support all of what you're doing and support the folks that are out there, because that's the way that we believe that communities are safe and healthy. It takes all of us. So don't hesitate to reach out, and I will make sure that you get the right people that can answer the questions better than I can too.
Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you, Beck, for taking time to share with us tonight, and thank you everyone for joining. We will post this session on our website in case you need to go back for more information. Other than that, have a great night, everyone.
You as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.